Here we go.
Yay.
Come on. You don't want to hear me sing. Okay.
That's nice.
Hi, Judy Davidson with Franchoice, and I am here with Raj and Arushi from the Seattle area, and we are having a champagne celebration of their new multi-unit Stretch Lab franchise. They were recently awarded that at the end of December. So they are starting off the new year as multi-unit franchise business owners. Woohoo! Thank you for celebrating with me. So Raj and Arushi, they live in the Seattle area, and I think it'd probably be a good place to start with. Why did you want to be business owners?
Sure, I can start. So I've been working in the corporate for the last 15, 17 years, and I've done various sales and marketing roles, making money for other people. I mean, at my stage of my career, I was like, this is or at my life, I'm almost hitting 40. I was like, I want to be starting my own business and, being my own boss and, working for myself. That was the big motivation, right? And so that's how we decided that, okay, I'm going to start looking for something, and we met through LinkedIn.
Yes. And you had just moved to the US from Singapore just about 18 months ago, correct?
That's right. We moved early 2019. Oh, sorry, early 2020.
You moved for your wife's job.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then you were working as well. And then I think your company got bought out or merged with another company, and then you found yourself with a very nice severance package, which, hey, welcome to America. Talk about the American dream, right?
That's right. I mean, for me, when we moved to the US, I think I was very motivated to start something of my own at that point instead of taking up a job. But we were being a little cautious. We were waiting for our green cards to come in. So we got our green cards in September. And so, which was like, okay, now we have the green light. We know we are permanently here now in the US.
Right.
And then it's easier for me to make that decision. And coincidentally, it was also a time where our company got bought out, and it was a decision point for me whether I should continue and try and figure out with the new management, or just take the package and move to my dream, which I want, chase the American dream.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think it was perfect timing. You and I met through LinkedIn.
Yes.
And we had a conversation, and you filled out a brief online confidential questionnaire. And then the next step, we set up a Zoom call similar to this. And we defined your criteria. And a couple of days later, I came back with my recommendations of, I think, 5 different concepts. And you liked 4 of them. And so you started the process with Pure Barre, CertaPro. That was an existing, rather large business for sale.
Yeah.
Heyday Skincare, and Stretch Lab.
That's
and
right.
So I think you had just one conversation with CertaPro and Heyday, and you were gravitating toward Pure Barre and Stretch Lab.
That's right.
And then by the time I did the territory check to the time that you had started the process, the Pure Barre locations that you were interested in East Seattle were awarded. So we kind of had to overcome that disappointment, but you did a beautiful job in pivoting and really focusing in on Stretch Lab. And then Arushi came to join the party, and yay! Just to tell everyone, maybe you want to introduce Arushi and how you guys know each other.
So Raj and I have been friends for last 12, 13 years now.
2008.
Yeah. So he and my husband are actually best friends, and they work together at a firm. And in fact, like Raj moved in 2020, we moved last year in 2021 April, and thankfully we landed in the same location, and we were really glad about it because we had like friends like family over here. And yeah, so then I was on maternity leave. I have a 6-month-old girl who I was just taking care of.
Yeah.
And Raj came up with this idea, you know, which was very, very interesting for us to get into, and something that I can really give my time right now. So that's how we got involved in the idea, and we're really excited about this. Yeah.
Yeah, you did a great job of kind of coming in the middle of the conversation and getting caught up on the concept.
Yeah.
And I think that allowed you, Raj, to pivot from a single unit to multi units by partnering with Arushi and her husband. Correct?
Exactly.
Is that how you ended up?
Yes, that's exactly what my thought process was when I was thinking about it and speaking with you initially. I was looking at one outlet or one unit, and then uh, obviously we meet on a regular basis. And I was telling them this is what I'm doing, and then they were like, "Hey, do you want to do it together?" And we're like, "Yeah, but then maybe we need to do more than one, right? Because that's what's going to make sense from a long-term perspective." And that's where we like, okay, let's do three then, right? And it's 2 to 3 years of development, but that's the ambition, right? And we've like going back to Pure Bar, I think being in Seattle, we understand a little bit more of the East Seattle place, and these neighborhoods are one of the richest neighborhoods in Washington. Really high real estate values, and that kind of helped us make a decision around Stretch Lab because it's new to Washington, but there are other stretching services which are doing extremely well here.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, I mean, we can really make this work, and this is the right demographic for us.
Right. I think it's good to tell the folks back home a little bit about Stretch Lab and Exponential. So Exponential is a corporate conglomerate of 10 different fitness brands, Stretch Lab being one of them. And so Stretch Lab is assisted stretching, so similar to like getting a massage or going to a chiropractor. You're laying on a table and you're getting your whole body stretched out in a variety of different ways. And everyone knows that stretching is a great foundation for any type of exercise. So men, women, children, no matter how old or young you are, everyone can benefit from stretching. So maybe why don't, and another great thing about Exponential is that if your clients are a member, they can get what's called an X Pass and get access to all of the 10 brands that are in your area. And so it's good for people like me who have exercise ADD and want to try a little of everything. And there's a lot of cross promotional marketing and advertising that goes on between all of their brands as well. So, maybe is there anything more about Stretch Lab or Exponential that was attractive to you?
I think, yeah, one of the key things that we learned during a lot of our discussions and is that Stretch Lab is a complementary service to any concept of fitness, and it's not really competing with any of the other brands that are there in the market. Somebody who goes for yoga or goes for Pilates or for any sort of strength and conditioning exercises can also look at stretching as an option, and it appeals to all demographics, all age groups. So that is one of the key reasons why we were compelled to get into this, because it's a new concept and it's something that would really see a lot of growth in future. So yeah, that's something I'd like to add. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think just from a personal experience as well, I had a back condition like a few years ago, and I stretch every day in the morning for 15 minutes, and my day and night different if I stretch or not stretch. So I have personal experience on self stretching, and obviously when this assisted stretch, and when I went and actually visited one of the Stretch Labs, that whole experience on how they look at you as a person and what kind of ailments you might have and what areas you might want to stress at, to The whole experience was really good. That's what attracted me as well, right?
Yeah.
Stretching is super complementary to a lot of other
Yeah.
services or
Exercise.
exercises, and you're not really competing. It's not got a lot of competition in the market, which means that we could really generate demand and be able to.
Yes, I tried it once and I couldn't believe after I completed a session, which is like 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I had so much energy. When I got off the table, I was like, yes, let's go. Let's go run a marathon. It was incredible,
Yeah.
before and after. So let's talk about the process. So once we've narrowed down to the businesses you are most interested in, and then you have a weekly phone call with each brand to educate you on a different aspect of their business model. And so a lot of people think that, they can just go online and buy a franchise. And so we're here to tell you that the relationship that you and I were able to establish, I was, better able to make great recommendations. And then the process that you go through with the franchisors also is key to you gathering all the information you need to make the best decision for you and your family, and for them also to know that you're the best fit and match to grow their brand in the East Seattle marketplace. So and this all took place over 6 weeks. You did a beautiful job of staying with the process. Um, why don't you talk a little bit about that? What you learned, not everything that you learned, because you learned a lot, but each week it builds on more information regarding sales, marketing, training,
Sure.
pre and post support, etc. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
I can, and I just break it down into two pieces, right? So the first piece was shortlisting what modality or what franchisee we were going to go after, and you did a great job to help us shortlist and give us some great options from CertiPro to Heyday to these exponential brand options, and I think just talking to them, if anybody is looking to make decisions, attending those calls, which are those weekly franchisee calls, were very, very helpful for us. It just helps validate a lot of those assumptions around profit and loss and how the stores are performing and what the problems people might be actually having. And the good thing about Exponential is there's nobody from Exponential on those validation calls, right? So you can ask any question, right? And people are really honest and helpful and willing to share their experiences, and you can make your own calls based on whatever you hear. But those were really helpful. In fact, we attended a few live calls, but we also went back and heard the old calls,
some of the
like almost 8 or 10 old calls, right? So we spent that amount of time doing our own due diligence, which was very helpful. In fact, we've got a sheet of best practices which we put up from there, which we will use to implement in our stores.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So just, we don't want to repeat mistakes and learn from other people's mistakes kind of situation.
Yeah, and I think we talked about your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal is to be in the top 10 within your first year, right? Top 10 of StretchLab.
Top 10 run rate, right? So at the end of month 12, we want to be run rating in the top 10 stores, right? That's our ambition. I think there are
That's the goal, right?
And it's actually achievable. I think the top 25% of the stores are hitting $1 million number right now, or run rating to that. I think if you can get into that league, it's going to be amazing if we can get there. So
yeah, that's
awesome. Plan, yeah.
And we are hoping, like, Washington is a great market. There are a lot of people who are very driven for fitness and related concepts. So we believe that we should be able to achieve the goal that we are aiming for. Let's see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, if you are like anything like you went through the due diligence process, I have every confidence that you will reach your goal. So, so what's next? You've already started the implementation process with Exponential.
Yes, I think, I mean, the Exponential team has been super responsive and helpful from the very get-go. We get a response from different members of the team within 24 hours, right? Including Lou, who's the president, right? So
It's
we
great.
did not feel like, oh, it's a new relationship. They are really helpful through the process, guiding us, holding hands, and they continue to do so. So we've kicked out the real estate process at this point of time. We're also working with the banks to get the SBA loan approval, and we got a lot of documentation and help to, apply for that loan as well. So far so good. Moving forward.
Yes, and you are going to be at Exponential's headquarters in Irvine, not far from where I live. You said March?
February or March. So we are
March, yeah.
looking at dates right now, and
Yeah.
whatever works between those.
Yeah. They'd like you to go to training shortly before your store opening.
Right.
That way you remember everything you learned prior to opening. So I know you're already in the real estate and the site selection process. And so you hope to have one in your own backyard in Mercer Island, but it depends on what's available first.
Yeah, I mean, we have been told that following the process is a recipe for success, and for us to, actually go and take a franchisee rather than start our business from scratch was to follow a process and a framework, right? So when they say there is a framework and you need to follow it to be successful, so we are following that process, and that's real estate will drive the decision where we open our first studio.
Right. Well, in the for Stretch Lab, they've already done it hundreds of times.
Absolutely.
So, by following a proven business model, you can get up and running into profitability a lot more quickly than someone could on their own. But in the case of Exponential, they've done this thousands of times. So you're in really good hands.
Yeah.
You're a well-oiled machine. I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to meet you when you're in my neighborhood, my neck of the woods in March.
Sure.
And would you give any advice or tips for the folks at home regarding, would you do it again? Would you recommend it to a friend? The whole process.
Yeah, I think if you're serious about getting a franchisee, I think having somebody like Judy guide you and take you through that process, because it's easy to falter, it's easy to go through emotions, and Judy has her own framework on how do you guide people through your emotional roller coasters, and focus on getting the best possible result. I think having a coach like Judy would be super helpful. So if you're serious, having somebody like her would be good to help you navigate, because there are millions of options or thousands of options, right? And it can be confusing, and people who are really getting into their first option, you're investing hundreds of thousands of dollars. You don't want to be making a wrong decision,
Right.
or
Right.
so.
Yeah. And I think also with Judy, I think you were also very helpful in guiding us on what are the positives or the negatives with the different possibilities that we were trying to explore. And you were also very you were doing your follow-ups with us and trying to go through the process and trying to convince us on how we can look at a particular situation, or you insisted that we should go and visit a Stretch Lab studio to get the whole look and feel of it, before we make a decision. So a lot of pointers we got from you, which was very helpful and instrumental for us in making that decision. So we are really, really thankful and grateful to you for being part of this process and
Thank
taking
you. You guys were
yeah.
awesome to work with. Amazing. And I think it's important, especially in these times, to celebrate the wins. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Celebrate the wins. And yeah, I've been doing this for 16, 17 years. My son was in kindergarten when I started, and he'll be graduating college soon. And every time that I help someone like you, I get these little thank you notes from our CEO, these silly little thank you notes, but they mean the world to me. And so this is like my celebration also. And I think I've saved every single one that I've had since, the beginning of time. So it's important to celebrate the big wins and the little wins, um, and the relationship that we were able to develop throughout the process,
Yeah.
as well as you being part of the Exponential family is huge as well. So I can't thank you enough for allowing me to help you uh, be awarded a franchise. This is the, the favorite part of my job and my role is the celebration, helping people celebrate making the decision, because it's not easy, as you know. I mean,
Yeah.
you went through it through 6 weeks, but when you come to the end of the process and you're getting ready to sign an agreement and write a pretty sizable check, you still, have to. Many are called, but few are chosen, so to speak. So you guys did a great job, and I'm really happy and proud of you, and can't wait to meet you in person.
Yeah,
Same
same
here.
here. Thank
Same
you.
here.